Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This week, we are embarking on a really specific and I think a deeply analytical mission.
Yeah, the big one.
We are completely bypassing the predictable churn of global pop charts. Instead, we're diving headfirst into the raw, unfiltered data of what's defining independent rock music right now.
And our source material for this is, it's pretty unique. We've got the definitive top 10 charts for the week of January 12, 2026.
Right. And not just one chart. We have 5 specialized streams from This Is Only Rock Radio, which is based in Spain. People might know it as TIORR.
And that's the key, isn't it? This isn't just one playlist we're looking at. It's a living, breathing map of rock's current landscape. When a platform segments its content this meticulously, you get an insight into 5 distinct tastes.
5 different listener profiles almost.
Exactly, all operating under the same umbrella. It shows us not just what rock is, but what it needs to be to capture these fragmented audiences today.
Absolutely. So our mission is to take these 50 unique tracks and really unpack them. The economics, the artistry, the trends. I mean, who is dominating? What are the subtle genre shifts we can spot?
And maybe the most fascinating part for me is how the mechanics of modern radio curation actually function.
Yeah.
Especially in the independent sphere where, promotion and quality have to work perfectly hand in hand.
For you listening, this is basically the ultimate shortcut to understanding the cutting edge of global indie rock right now.
It is. And it's crucial to remember that this depth of data, having all 50 tracks, it lets us do a kind of thematic analysis that goes way beyond just, reading a list out loud.
We're looking for connections.
We are. We're looking for those patterns that reveal the direction of travel. What happens when a heavy metal track is on the same chart as, say, a witty, narrative indie pop song? And how do we quantify the success of a band that, and we'll get to this, manages to chart in multiple, seemingly contradictory streams?
Okay, that's a perfect setup. We have a huge volume of information here, so let's start distilling those core movements shaping rock music in 2026.
Let's do it.
That sets the stage perfectly. Okay, let's unpack this massive stack, starting with what I guess is the heart of the platform, its primary identity. Let's start with TIORR1. So the TIORR1 list, this feels like the flagship, the core identity of the station.
It has to be, yeah. Logically, it should represent the most broadly appealing tracks, the ones designed to hook the maximum number of listeners.
But what's immediately obvious when you look at this top 10 is just how diverse their definition of broadly appealing has become. It's like a genre tightrope walk.
It is. It's mixing established indie sounds with tracks that are, frankly, surprisingly heavy or hyper-specific.
And that tightrope is essential for survival today, isn't it?
Absolutely. A core rock station just can't afford to cater to one specific flavor of rock anymore. It has to be comprehensive. It needs to retain that classic indie listener base while at the same time appealing to people who want heavier tracks or quirkier lyrical themes.
So TIORR1 is where they manage that balancing act.
It is, and it's fascinating to see the results, especially right at the very top.
Let's start right at the peak then. Number 1, Splitsville with the track, I Hate Going to Hustlers. I mean, you just have to stop right there.
You do. That title alone is a masterclass in specificity. It's so narrative. It feels, potentially regional, and it instantly makes you wonder what the story is.
Right. What is Hustlers? Who is Hustler?
Yeah.
It screams quirky power pop or, that really melodic indie rock. The kind of song that tells a whole story and is almost impossible to forget once you hear it.
The power of a specific hook cannot be overstated. Not in today's streaming environment, which is just saturated with content. I Hate Going to Hustlers demands your attention through its novelty.
It has a real Fountains of Wayne vibe to it, just from the title.
It does. Historically, power pop, which this sounds like it aligns with, relies on that perfect blend of melodic genius and wry observation. The success of Splitsville at number 1 shows that accessible, witty, and lyrically driven indie rock still has enormous appeal.
It's the clean, catchy entry point for a broad audience.
It's the spoonful of sugar for the rock enthusiast, exactly.
And then immediately you get this total contrast to that accessible narrative sweetness. Look at number 2. Blacklist Union with DYN for You.
A complete 180.
We've gone from conversational indie rock straight into something that, just based on the title, sounds heavy, raw, maybe a bit sleazier or harder.
And the capitalized DYN for You, it's a statement of raw intensity.
It's not subtle.
Not at all. And this juxtaposition is the station's strategic programming in action. It's so deliberate. You secure the broad listener with the accessible hook of Splitsville, and then you immediately confirm to the headbangers and the hard rock loyalists that, no, You are not being ignored.
So the signal.
A huge signal. Blacklist Union's presence at number 2 says that visceral, demanding rock isn't a niche or some secondary consideration for them. It is integral to the primary identity of TIORR1. It confirms that the hard rock aesthetic is still commercially viable in the mainstream rock ecosystem.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Moving to number 3, we find a different kind of critical detail. Vinyl floor with Mr. Rubinstein, single edit. Now this is where the analysis gets a bit technical, but it's a crucial detail for you, the learner, to understand how radio actually works.
Oh, absolutely. That little parenthetical note, single edit, it isn't just descriptive, it's deeply strategic.
What does it tell you then?
It speaks volumes about prioritization and optimization. A single edit means the original track, which might have featured an extended guitar solo, a lengthy jam, or maybe a slow atmospheric intro, has been professionally refined.
Trimmed down for radio.
Exactly. Typically, this involves tightening the structure, making sure to get to the chorus faster, and keeping the track length within that optimal 3 to 4 minute window that rotational radio programming demands.
So the fact that they're playing the single edit means this is a major investment for them.
A huge investment for TIORR1. It's a song they believe has the quality to be a massive hit, but only if it respects the pace and demands of high-frequency airplay. It elevates the discussion from just, what's popular to what is being purposefully and technically curated.
That technical insight is fantastic. It really shows the station is actively shaping its own content for maximum impact. So, moving into the mid-chart, these next tracks feel like they provide the rhythmic backbone of the TIORR1 sound.
I'd agree with that. These are the tracks that maintain the consistency of the playlist. At number 4, we have Minneora with Freeze, and at number 5, The Dead Crowd with Something Real.
Those titles suggest solid, well-produced alternative tracks, don't they?
They do. They aren't trying to be the wittiest or the heaviest. They're defining that competent mid-tempo groove that keeps listeners locked in when the big chart toppers aren't playing. They basically stabilize the chaos of the top 3.
And then, at number 6, we hit our first major crossover clue. This is a big one, hinting at a phenomenon we're going to see across these lists. Chucky Trading Co. with White Widow.
Yes.
Just having this placement right here in the primary top 10 is significant. It demonstrates that White Widow is not some experimental track or an emerging curiosity. This is a mainline hit with broad appeal.
Its presence here in the core list suggests a certain maturity and polish in their sound that clearly places them above, say, the emerging artist category. It's a huge validation of their current momentum.
We absolutely have to keep this band in mind.
We do, because their success here is just one piece of a much larger narrative that we're about to uncover.
Okay, so rounding out the bottom of the core top 10, we continue to see that strategic diversity. At number 7, Overhaul with Whoop It Up.
That title alone just signals a burst of high-energy punk or garage rock, doesn't it? A shot of adrenaline.
It does. And then at number 8, we have the Metalbirds with Momentum, and this is where the station just dispenses with subtlety entirely.
The band name itself is a literal genre marker.
It's a declarative statement.
It is. The fact that a band explicitly identifying as metal is holding steady in the core TIORR1 chart, right alongside Splitsville and Vinyl Floor, confirms that TR sees heavy metal not as some segregated niche, but as a fully integrated, necessary component of mainstream rock listening.
They aren't hiding the heavy sound.
Not at all. They are showcasing it.
We wrap up TR1 with 2 titles that feel a bit deeper, more contemplative. Investigator at number 9 with Change, which implies maybe social commentary or introspection.
And Bedlegs at number 10 with 16, which could be a nostalgic or youth-focused track.
So the overall picture of TR1 is what?
It's clear. It's a complex commercial tool designed to capture the entire spectrum of rock interest. It navigates from the catchy narrative of Splitsville to the literal heaviness of the Metal Birds. And it only succeeds by being meticulously curated and, in the case of Vinyl Floor, technically optimized for airplay. It's the proving ground for variety, where the hits have to be versatile enough to please everyone.
Okay, let's shift our perspective now. We'll move to Tier 2. If Tier 1 was that broad spectrum, Tier 2, just based on the evocative nature of these song titles, seems to lean distinctly toward atmospheric, maybe expansive, or deep alternative rock.
I think so too. The mood here feels less about raw aggression and more about, well, mood and texture.
I see this as the cinematic stream.
That's a great way to put it. The titles suggest tracks that encourage the listener to settle in, tracks designed to paint broad audio pictures. This list is targeting the listener who seeks depth and mood over an immediate radio punch.
It's a road trip playlist.
Or a late-night reflection, absolutely. And that unique energy kicks off immediately at number 1 with Drugs and Sport and their track Frequently Sideways.
I love that band name. It suggests volatility, a willingness to be unconventional. And the song title just reinforces that. It feels non-linear, maybe a post-punk edge or an energetic indie vibe that deliberately challenges traditional structure.
And that chaotic brilliance is what defines a strong alternative stream, isn't it? They are rewarding music that challenges the listener just a little bit more than the fare on TIORR one.
So, Frequently Sideways suggests a track with internal dynamics.
I'd bet on it. Perhaps shifts in rhythm or unexpected melody changes. It immediately sets the tone that this stream is for the musically adventurous.
And then, once again, we get a sharp contrast at number 2. Rafael Piccirillo with Angels of the Silence.
The ultimate mood shift, moving from volatility to serenity.
That title implies a much more measured, possibly orchestral, deep indie sound. It sounds thoughtful, sophisticated, and maybe less reliant on traditional rock instruments.
And that strong contrast is the engine of TIORR 2. It's an effective way to keep the listener engaged. Rafael Piccirillo brings the emotional and atmospheric sophistication. It's likely a track that builds slowly rewarding patience, which is a key differentiator from the high-impact approach of the first list.
Number 3 continues that theme of scope. Astral rock with Bags Packed. The band name is a pretty clear marker for space rock or psychedelic rock.
And Bags Packed suggests a definite journey. It fits that cinematic mold perfectly. This is music that encourages mental travel.
And then we also see tracks designed to kind of ground that journey, like Greenness at number 4 with Hilltop.
Right, which hints at a natural roots rock or maybe a pastoral element, ensuring the stream doesn't just drift entirely into pure abstraction.
Okay, now let's revisit that critical connection we highlighted earlier. This is huge. At number 5, we find the powerhouse, Chuck E. Trading Co. once more. But this time with a completely different track, Blood Diamond. We saw them holding strong at number 6 in the flagship TIORR 1 chart with White Widow. This needs a dedicated analysis.
It truly does. For an independent artist, this dual charting isn't just a success. It's a statistical anomaly that speaks to massive market penetration. We really need to break down what this means from the station's perspective.
Let me push back on that just a little bit.
Yeah.
Does this simply mean they released 2 singles close together and the station is just playing both because they're new? Or is there something deeper happening with this dual success?
I think the depth lies in the type of chart they're hitting. If both tracks were similar, say 2 aggressive hard rock anthems, it would just signal strong output in one particular lane.
Sure, that makes sense.
But White Widow is succeeding in the broad mainstream list, which suggests accessibility. Meanwhile, Blood Diamond is succeeding here in the nuanced atmospheric TRE2. This suggests incredible versatility.
So the station isn't just trusting one song from them.
No. They're trusting the artist's entire output to satisfy 2 highly distinct curatorial mandates. This signals that Chuck E. Trading Co. possesses a rare ability to write tracks that appeal to both the casual rock listener and the deep alternative enthusiast.
It's proof of quality control across multiple stylistic outputs. They're currently defining what it means to be a breakout success in this multi-stream environment.
Precisely. They've cracked the code for leveraging fragmentation, ensuring they hit every available target audience at the same time.
Incredible. So moving down the rest of the list, we see that atmospheric quality is maintained.
It is. At number 6, Emily Thorsby with Amazing as Hell.
And then at number 7, a track that could be the theme song for the depth we've been talking about. Conrad Noto's American Sound Crew with Seas of Eternity.
A magnificent, verbose band name for a track title that implies genuine scope. Seas of Eternity is certainly not aiming for radio brevity.
Not at all.
This track likely favors long instrumental soundscapes and a real depth of production, reinforcing the idea that TIORR2 rewards artistic indulgence when it results in a superior atmosphere.
We close out this cinematic stream with titles that continue to evoke these really powerful images. Animal Souls with May's Song at 8.
Mindless Hope with Infinite Blue at 9.
And finally, White Room Nightmare closing out the top 10 with Space Cadet.
Space Cadet perfectly bookends the list's sensibility, alongside Frequently Sideways and Bags Packed. It's evocative, slightly detached, and rich in the kind of mood and texture we expect from a truly alternative cinematic stream. TIORR2 is the essential counterpoint to the high-energy variety of TIORR. It rewards complex, emotional, and sonic landscapes.
All right, let's execute a sharp 180 turn now and dive into Tier R3. If Tier R2 was all about sophisticated atmosphere, Tier R3, just based on these titles, seems to be mandated to favor high-impact, thematic, and aggressive rock.
Definitely. This is the intensity curve. This is where emotional and sonic volume are prized above all else.
This list is the station's dedicated outlet for catharsis, then.
I think so. It's where they program the tracks that demand an immediate physical reaction. By centralizing the aggression here, they provide a focused home for heavy music fans while keeping the broad appeal of Tier 1 intact.
And we see that intent pretty violently realized at number 1, Tommy Gun with Ball Terror.
Yeah. There is zero ambiguity in that title or the band name. This is, without question, the most aggressively titled track across all three of the main lists.
It just signals speed, high volume, probably metal or aggressive punk rock.
Tommy Gun is setting the maximum threshold for intensity this week. Its dominance at the top indicates a powerful, dedicated following for this kind of uncompromising sound. This track is designed for pure, unadulterated energy release.
But the list doesn't just devolve into pure sonic aggression. At number 2, we have Yuri G with Hypocrisy.
Right. And while it's still intense, this suggests a political or a socially conscious edge. Here, the aggression is channeled through thematic critique. It's using loudness to deliver a message, rather than just raw power.
So that's the core of Tier 3's definition of intensity.
I think it is. It's not just noise, it's thematic force. Hypocrisy suggests lyrics that demand attention, that critique societal flaws and require critical thought from the listener. The intensity comes from the conviction of the message, not just the distortion level of the guitars.
And this blending of physical and thematic intensity continues at number 3 with Accidental Martyr and their track Why Be Lonely.
What a combination.
The band name is so powerful and dramatic, suggesting tragedy and scale, but the song title is strikingly vulnerable.
This is a classic hallmark of heavy music, isn't it? The contrast between a hard, aggressive, often dramatic external presentation and a core internal emotional vulnerability. It suggests a song that's loud and complex, but it's exploring feelings of isolation or conflict within that heavy structure.
And that depth makes the track incredibly resonant with an audience that's looking for catharsis that isn't just surface level.
Exactly.
Now let me interject with a critical question about the structure. When a station has a dedicated high-intensity stream like TIORR3, isn't there a risk that TIORR becomes, by necessity, a bit less daring? Is TIORR3 just a tool to segregate the heaviest tracks so that TIORR1 can stay clean, comfortable, and commercially predictable?
That's a vital question. And while, yes, segregation certainly happens, the presence of the metal birds still charting in the core Tier 1 list suggests that the division is based on the type of intensity, not just the volume.
Okay, so what's the distinction?
Tier 1 wants the heavy tracks that are broadly appealing, the ones that perhaps have stronger chorus hooks or more established genre tropes. Tier 3, on the other hand, is where the station can program the truly niche, aggressive, or thematically complex tracks like Ball Terror or Hypocrisy that might genuinely alienate a more casual listener.
So it serves a dual purpose.
It does. It caters to the niche and it protects the broader mandate of the main channel.
That distinction makes a lot of sense. Tier 3 is for the purists of aggression. So moving into the core momentum of the list, we find more of that heavy atmosphere.
We do. At 4, Foxford with Heaven Here, and at 5, Third Deck with Fallout. Fallout is a perfect example of modern, high-impact rock naming. It suggests a post-apocalyptic or high-stakes thematic environment, reinforcing that need for dramatic scope.
Number 6, Wage with Vents. That title is so concise, so sharp. It perfectly embodies that idea of catharsis releasing intense emotion through sound.
It does, and look at the intriguing mix that closes out the list. At 7, you have Asphalt Jungle with Electric Nights,
Which suggests a blend of hard rock energy with maybe electronic or industrial elements, another form of high-impact sound design.
Right. Then we have Kid Norkgen at 8 with Don't Say Never, which feels like classic hard-driving rock structure.
Followed by pure, high drama at number 9, Mad Wetsy with Devil Has Come.
That combination just screams heavy rock mythology, perhaps doom or stoner rock, a deliberate commitment to epic dark themes.
And finally, closing out TR3, we get this fascinating thematic contrast to the opening aggression. Robert Peterson and the Crusade with Change Coming On.
It's the perfect bookend. We started with the visceral physical aggression of Ball Terror, and we end with a track that, just based on the name, sounds like a bluesy, roots rock protest anthem.
A completely different kind of intensity.
And that final juxtaposition is the key. It proves that TR3 defines intensity not just through sheer volume or speed, but through emotional resonance, political conviction, and thematic weight. It's a loud, passionate, and surprisingly thoughtful collection of music.
We have spent the last 3 sections analyzing charts driven by pure airplay and curatorial taste. Now, we move to a list that is, well, fundamentally defined by the strategic economics of the modern music industry,
It really is.
the tier groover list. This isn't just a playlist. It's the physical manifestation of a crucial partnership designed to streamline artist discovery.
I'd argue this list is the most insightful one for anyone trying to understand how independent artists actually break through today. It completely demystifies the idea that radio play is purely organic. It shows that talent has to be paired with an effective, targeted promotional strategy.
Okay, so let's be completely explicit about the mechanism here.
Yeah.
This tier groover chart is the direct result of a collaboration with the platform groover.co. For the uninitiated, what is groover.co? It's a platform that allows independent artists to promote their work by connecting them directly and efficiently with industry professionals. That includes influential curators like onlyrockradio.com.
That's it. So this list, therefore, is determined by quality tracks that successfully use this targeted promotional pipeline and impress the radio gatekeepers enough to merit rotation.
That's the essential distinction, isn't it?
It is. In the pre-digital era, getting your music heard by a major curator was often a logistical nightmare, or it required expensive external PR teams. Groover.co streamlines this by essentially creating a paid, targeted submission system.
And why would a curator like TIORR use this?
Because in the age of overwhelming digital submissions, they need a qualified filter. This list represents the tracks that have successfully passed that filter and demonstrated a professional commitment to their music career. It's a real-world metric for the impact of promotional investment.
So if you're a musician listening to this list proves that having a quality track is only half the battle. Knowing how to strategically submit it is the other half.
Exactly. It validates the commercial reality that discovery in 2026 is often a process of targeted engagement.
Leading this successful promotional cohort at number 1 is Dede Booth with Relics.
And this track is the face of promotional efficiency this week. It demonstrates that a strong track, when it's correctly targeted to the right curator, can leapfrog established processes and go straight to the top of a curated chart.
Numbers 2 and 3 reinforce this strong showing. Katharticus with All Blown Away and Chronos Matter with Hide in the Night.
These tracks confirm that the Groover pipeline is delivering a consistent level of quality that the station trusts enough to put immediately into rotation.
And we see that immediate, necessary diversity here, too. The Groover system isn't filtering for just one type of rock.
Not at all. At number 4, you have Nordstall with The Nameless Hour, which suggests atmospheric or melodic metal, a sound that has a niche following but clearly submits effectively. Then you have Big Batshie at number 5 with All We've Got, which sounds like a solid anthemic rock track designed for mass appeal. The platform delivers submissions across the entire genre spectrum.
At number 6, we find a truly fascinating data point, especially regarding artistic legacy and promotion. Emmy Lee with Me and Bobby McGee.
This is key. The inclusion of a track referencing or covering the classic Chris Christopherson and Janis Joplin song is so telling.
What does it tell us?
It shows that even material rooted in established legacy can benefit from and gain rotation through these modern promotional channels. It debunks the myth that platforms like Groover are only interested in 100% original avant-garde work. If the quality of the interpretation is high and the submission is targeted correctly, legacy material can become fresh again and gain airplay.
It's about presentation and quality, even when you're dealing with familiar concepts.
Absolutely.
Finishing out the Groover Top 10, we continue to see these wide-ranging rock styles succeeding.
We do. Rise is at 7 with Lost for Words, and then Faye and the Mockingbirds at 8 with Southern Breeze.
Southern Breeze implies a roots rock or an American alternative vibe.
It does, which proves that this platform facilitates international exposure for genre-specific artists who might otherwise struggle to reach a Spanish-based rock curator.
At number 9, we have Aggressor's Poetry with My World. That name suggests a powerful lyrical focus, maybe protest music, or a strong blend of rock energy with spoken word or hip-hop influences, a very contemporary approach.
I'd agree. And finally, closing the list at number 10, we see the most explicit confirmation of the international scope facilitated by Groover.co. Casuales with Brinda Conmigo.
which is Spanish for toast with me.
Exactly. The fact that a Spanish-language track is rounding out the tier groover chart, which is fundamentally driven by an international submission pipeline, is the perfect illustration of how this technology bridges linguistic and geographic divides.
The quality of the submission through Groover was enough.
Clearly, it was enough to merit inclusion, regardless of the language of the track. This groover list is a vital demonstration of how targeted promotion is now a non-negotiable part of the success story for independent artists globally.
If the Groover list showed us the pipeline to discovery, then the tier emerging artist list shows us the product of that pipeline, the acts who are just starting to break through.
This is it. This is the forward-looking stream. It's dedicated to potential, novelty, and the raw energy that will hopefully populate the Tier 1 chart next year.
This list is curated on the basis of instinct and foresight, then.
I believe so. The bands here are still building their major audience, and Tier is investing in their future. It's the most exciting list for the listener who wants to be truly ahead of the curve.
Leading the charge at number 1, we have the young Hasselhoffs with Come Back Marie. We have to take a moment for that band name.
You do. The humor, the potential irony, the sheer memorability, it's calculated to stick in your head.
Band names are often the first, and sometimes the only piece of marketing material an emerging artist has.
And a name like the Young Hasselhoffs suggests a fun, high-energy, possibly slightly self-aware power pop or garage rock style. It tells the listener, we don't take ourselves too seriously, but we deliver hooks.
To lead the emerging list, they're clearly a band with immediate high-impact appeal.
No doubt.
Number 2 provides a stark contrast. Gary Draenow with Digital Intoxication. This is such a modern, relevant title. It speaks to contemporary themes and likely genre fluidity.
This track confirms that the emerging scene isn't solely about throwback sounds. Digital intoxication implies the artist is engaging with modern life and modern production techniques.
So what might genre fluidity mean here?
We could speculate that it means blending rock elements with digital sound design, maybe utilizing modern trap drum patterns or synthwave textures to distinguish their sound from traditional guitar-based drums rock. It's rock that acknowledges the digital environment it lives in.
And at number 3, we have Brian Kroll with 7 Summers, which suggests a return to a more introspective, perhaps folk, or classic rock-infused sound.
And that diversity just in the top 3 demonstrates that the future of rock is not monochromatic. It embraces the witty, the highly modern, and the introspective classic structures all at the same time.
Moving through the middle of the list, we encounter acts whose names speak of resilience and classic rock structure. At number 4, the Won't Quit Band with Gate 1.
That band name embodies the spirit of every emerging artist. They are in it for the long haul. Gate 1 suggests this is just the beginning of their journey, a perfect track for a forward-looking chart like this.
And at number 5, the Easy Outs with Gimme Gimme Love.
That's pure, uncomplicated rock and roll sentiment delivered by a new act. It shows the foundational language of rock music remains universally appealing, even to those just discovering it.
We also have the Half Cubes at 6 with Go Back, and at 7, Salvation Row with High Plains. That sounds like an expansive, possibly Americana-tinged rock track.
A continuation of the TIORR to atmospheric theme, maybe, but from a debut perspective.
This list is incredibly instructive because it shows which elements of rock are being successfully revived and redefined.
It does. We have the Dogs at 8 with Inside Out, a band name and title that feels straight out of the garage rock or early British invasion playbook.
And at number 9, a track that hints at a strong visual aesthetic. Mike Browning with Paisley Haze.
Paisley Haze is such a direct reference to the psychedelic and Baroque pop influences of the late 60s and early 70s. It tells us that the new guard is actively looking back at specific aesthetic movements.
So the future of rock isn't always a new sound.
Sometimes it's a brilliant reinterpretation of a forgotten sound, enhanced by modern production.
Finally, closing out the emerging artists top 10, we have the Chelsea Curve with Rally Round.
That name suggests a dynamic, high-energy, potentially mod or new wave revival style, which ties a neat bow on the whole list. In summary, the emerging artists list is a powerful argument that the future of rock is healthy, diverse, and unafraid to blend humor, like the Young Hasselhoffs, modern commentary like Digital Intoxication, and highly specific historical aesthetics like Paisley Haze.
It's where the raw potential of the genre is most visible. And with that, we have successfully completed our deep dive. 50 tracks across 5 very distinct charts from Only Rock Radio. We moved from the high-stakes commercial variety of Tier 1,
Through the intellectual atmosphere and sophistication of Tier 2.
the cathartic thematic intensity of Tier 3, the critical mechanics of the Tier Groover list in collaboration with Groover.co.
And finally, the exciting potential mapped out in the Tier Emerging Artists stream.
So what's the big takeaway?
The synthesizing takeaway is that the rock landscape, as evidenced by this detailed look at 50 tracks, is neither niche nor unified. It's a dynamic ecosystem that is thriving on fragmentation. You have the heavy anchors like Tommy Gunn supporting the extreme end,
Witty indie pop like Splitsville, defining the accessible side.
and the promotional pipeline ensuring new global talent like Casuales with their Spanish track is discovered and gets rotated.
And the single most telling data point that really connects all of these streams is the dual charting of Chucky Trading Co.
Absolutely. Their success charting White Widow on the broad mainstream TIORR 1 and Blood Diamond on the deeper atmospheric TIORR 2 is the blueprint for the 2026 rock artist.
It proves that in this fragmented, multi-stream radio world, consistent quality and broad multi-genre appeal across different songs is the ultimate measure of sustained momentum.
They managed to satisfy two very different curatorial and audience mandates simultaneously, and that is the definition of crossover success today.
That sets the bar incredibly high. So, here is the final provocative thought for you to consider. If you had to bet on one artist across all 5 of these lists today, Emerging, Groover, and the 3 main lists, to achieve the impossible and appear on every single one of those lists next year, who would it be?
And, to build on that, does the current versatile success of Chucky Trading Co. today prove that versatility and consistent quality across different genres is the only sustainable path to truly dominate in this complex, multi-stream radio environment? Or is there still room for a highly specialized act to become a singular generational force?
The only way to find out is to dive into those tracks yourself.
Exactly. Go explore these lists and find your next great crossover success story.
That's it for this week's deep dive into the mechanics and the future of independent rock radio curation. We'll see you next time.